My throat feels like it's closing up. Need some juice, Saki. Passion fruit? You don't see passion fruit. Blessings. You don't see passion fruit mixed with this. Let's see. Let's see if it's a hit or not. All right. That might not be enough. There was so much liquor in here. It was literally a glass full of liquor. Saki, this looks... There's shit in this. I think this juice was spoiled. How long this was in there? April! Saki, y'all trying to kill me? Welcome to episode 4 of TUNEAMI. This episode's a little more casual. It's a reflections episode. It's a recap of where we've been so far in the series and the last state that we shot. The last state that we shot was New York, my hometown. Specifically, we did 5 videos for New York, 1 for each borough. Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. Right? So let's talk a little bit about the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx, born and raised. I went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and college after the Army, right? Shout out to Lehman. So for the Bronx now, we shot with the RS3. He won the competition, right? Pulled in his followers, as you should, and won amongst all the other competitors. And the creator we collabed with was Shark Eyes, a.k.a. Kaz. Dope dude. I've worked with him in the past. Although he's not an automotive cinematographer, he's outside. Those street races, he outside. The track races, he's outside. So he knows, he's well versed in the motorsport community and automotive community. So I think he was a great addition to, starting the series off. So a little bit about the Bronx series, right? So funny enough, Marquise, I shot with him maybe 6-7 years ago when I first started out, right? When I was starting out my automotive cinematography journey. Like, I was a noob, but he was someone with a larger following than me. I probably had maybe under 2K followers, and I was like, yo, what's up? I'd love to shoot with you. And he was like, okay, cool, let's set it up, right? I'm trying to get exposure and experience at the time. We shot. It was done in the Bronx, and full circle, come back around. Now we're shooting the series. We're starting off the TUNEAMI series together. So I think that's dope. You know what I'm saying? And then Kaz, a.k.a. Shark Eyes, I've known him for quite a few years. Don't remember when I met him initially, but we've connected and we've met in person. He's worked with me on numerous projects together. And our chemistry, as you'll see in the BTS episode before this, is dope. So a little bit about the Bronx. If y'all don't know, the Bronx is considered the armpit of the 5 boroughs, right? It's the trenches. I don't know why I get so much hate, because we got so much dope artists coming from the Bronx. We got, my opinion, but we got Ice Spice. We have Cardi B. We have, who else we have from the Bronx? We have KRS-One. We have Slick Rick. We have Big Pun. We have Fat Joe. We have, hold on, don't tell me. French Montana, A Boogie, and a plethora of other artists that I'm not even mentioning, right? If you don't know anything about the Bronx, watch The Get Down on Netflix if it's still there. Dope series, and it sheds a little light on the history of hip-hop, which is where it originated, right? The Bronx. So I was very appreciative to start with the Bronx, that is so rich in culture, and my hometown, to be able to execute this 50-state series, right? So as far as the Bronx, how I'm going to do this series is going to be a recap of, like, my top shots, like my favorite shots, and talking about some learning points, right? And then also what it was like experiencing collabing with the creators. In each state, I plan on... Hi, Pepper. What's up? In each state, I plan on shooting with a big creator and a small creator. So far, I've only shot with 1 creator per state, per borough, and Cass happened to be that, so I'm going to talk about that experience. But let's start with my favorite shots, right? My top favorite shot, I would say, would be the shot where Marquise, the owner of the RS3, does a wide open throttle pull through Co-op City, right? Co-op City is very notable for the Bronx. We also shot at Yankee Stadium, so which brings me to my second shot, which would be the interview question in front of Yankee Stadium. I think that's one of our monuments, you know what I'm saying? That's what makes the Bronx, having a stadium in there. Because not all boroughs have a stadium, Manhattan, or Staten Island. But the point is, I was able to shoot there, no problems. Cops didn't bother us, they drove right by us. And I'm very appreciative that we had a smooth shoot. My third favorite shot would have to be that roundabout going to City Island or Orchard Beach. If you know, you know. We did a couple of laps, and then we finally lined it up. The lighting was immaculate. The composition, shout out to Shark, was immaculate, and that was my third favorite shot. Honorable mention would be the train shot right at the end of the cinematic series, episode 2, by the way, if you haven't watched it. The train shot, right? Why? Because that was completely spontaneous. What happened was we were kind of driving back, and I saw a train while we're on the 95, and I'm like, yo, it'd be dope to have a roller next to the train. If you don't know much about me, I love moving things in my shots, right? I love a plane, I love a train, I love a ship. I've never gotten train rollers, like a shot of a car and a train moving together. I've gotten a shot where the train's moving in the background and the car's stationary, but never moving together. And I was like, it'd be dope. So we didn't get the first train, and we're like, yo, when's the next train gonna come? We pull up the Metro North schedule, and we see that the next train is at this time. So we waited, and jumped on the highway. And funny enough, I jumped on the highway and went the wrong direction. So we had to wait on a whole nother train. But that last clip in the second episode, my boy Saki got it. That was because we were patient and waiting on the third train. So that was my honorable mention shot. So speaking of which, as far as the rollers, Kaz was pretty much controlling the Ronin 40 on the back of the car, right? And he doesn't have a lot of experience with this. This was his first time, especially with me, and I give him the controller, and I'm like, here, this button does this button does that, this button does this, and I'm like, which you'll see in episode 3, the BTS episode. And I'm like, good luck, you know what I'm saying? So there was no practice runs. Literally, we set up the shot, and I'm like, get this shot, and I gave him feedback live in the moment. Like, all right, you need to pan a little bit smoother, tilt up. And, I'm not tooting my own horn or whatever, but a lot of people underestimate the skill set it takes to be able to drive, maneuver through traffic, account for the subject car while directing this camera. And I don't trust anybody else to do it. I've been in the passenger seat where I'm controlling the camera rig. I keep pointing over here because the monitor is over here, funny enough, on the Ronin. I've been in the passenger seat, and it doesn't do it justice, right? It's actually more complicated because now I have to communicate with the camera car, I have to communicate with us, I have to communicate with the subject car. I have to read the traffic patterns so I can make sure I'm telling him to do something that's actually possible. So it makes it a little more complicated, whereas driving comes natural to me, right? Like, it's not like we're driving at the speed of light, we're driving slow. So it's just natural to see what's happening real time, be like, all right, boom, I'm gonna jump in the left lane. I need you to jump in the left lane with me because I see that the traffic is clear, and I need you to capture this. These are the shots I need you to get. It just becomes it's way too easy for me to do that, and we're not endangering anyone or whatever the case is. But moving on, giving Kaz this responsibility where all he has to do is just compose the shots, track the car. I think he did a phenomenal job for his first time. There was obviously a learning curve, but I think he did a really great job, So shout out to Cass for all the rolling shots you see. That was all him, except the train shot. Shout out to Saki. I love that experience of collabing with the creators for each state. That's what it's all about. As far as moving forward now, I'm gonna give a little more creative freedom, a lot more creative freedom. I want them to compose a shot. I want them to select a scene and position the car. I want to give them the reins because what it's really about collabing, what people don't understand about this series is, yes, it's rollers in all 50 states, right? But it's really about the creator aspect. It's being able to link up with someone who I may not normally get to work with or link up with, and combining our creative energies to create a product. That's what I think is the most important aspect of this series outside of traveling to all 50 states. So in the future, listen, I'm pulling up. I just got the camera gear. You got the reins. I want to see what you're capable of. I want to see what's in your head. Because, of course, I can position the car over here. But maybe you want it over there. And I want to see what you're capable of as a creator for that state. So I look forward to that. Again, this is the first video. So even with the interview questions, I learned a lot. Like, what questions can I ask that's going to draw out more emotional and heartfelt answers versus just a yes, a no. It's cool. Like, Marquise, shout out to him. It's my boy, you know what I'm saying? But his answers were a little, let's call it direct, right? They were a little direct. They were a little short-winded. And That's not for me to look at him and say, oh, why your answer so short with it. It's for me to look at what questions can I ask that's going to draw out a more responsive answer, a more in-depth answer that's going to connect with the audience. Because that's the goal. Because this is really a docu-series, right? It's a cinematic series that's going to document what it's like visiting a state for the first time, experiencing this driver and their car, and them telling the story of what their experience is in this state. That's what I want to capture, and it's not easy. It's not easy to do something like that because I'm doing that in what, a 3 minute, 4 minute cinematic video. You think I can tell the whole state story in that short amount of time? No, because I'm not even experiencing the whole state. I'm there for a weekend. I'm there for a weekend to experience Maryland, Virginia, Delaware. You know what I'm saying? If I'm only there for a weekend, then it's a little challenging to put all of what your state is known for into a little 3, 4 minute video when I'm only going to maybe a city. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty much going to select either the cinematic city that your state's known for, if it's close within proximity of wherever I flew in from or drove in from, or the state that the winner's from. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere they may have recommended, like, yo, it's amazing over here, we'll shoot over here. So it's gonna be hard to encompass all of that into a 3, 4, 5 minute cinematic video. So please bear with me, be patient. But as far as moving forward, I've learned a lot from what we've shot so far, what we've done so far. Everyone's waiting for the next thing, right? Everyone's now catching wind on the fact that I'm doing this. So people are hitting me up like, yo, I got some cars for you. Well, I appreciate it. That's not how it works. You can tag them, but it's all community based, right? The community decides what car wins, not me. I don't say, oh, this car is nice, I want this car to. Nope, I'm hands off, right? So I'm very appreciative of everyone now tuning in. The creators are tuning in now too. They're like, yo, when you come to the state, let's link, right? I'm only gonna pick a large and a small, and that's gonna be challenging to do after a while. Once this thing catches fire and everyone knows about it, it's gonna be really challenging to be like, yo, I'm gonna pick this creator over this creator because I love you all, yo. Like, y'all got love for all of my creators, bro. I'm here for the creators, so it's gonna be hard, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So anyway, I appreciate all y'all for tuning in to episode 4. Next week we start the new borough. I'm not gonna tell you what borough yet, but we got some heat in store for y'all. So I'm gonna holla at y'all. I appreciate y'all for watching. Nothing but love, bro.